Hey there, Maria back with another video. It's 3:56 p.m. It is February 21st. I did post a video earlier today, and then I took some time off and started writing a little bit, and just got so many messages that have been coming through in my mind. I've kind of expressed how I felt about this issue, and I really don't want to go on with it as much. Actually at all, really, to be honest with you. I wish nothing more than like this situation never happened. Like I wish I could turn back time and make it so that um, you know there was never any sort of rift between the emperor and this particular bloodline of family. Mainly because I felt like I got sucked into it in the first life, and I really don't want to be sucked into anything in this life. And it's not trying to be disrespectful. I mean, sure, you have to understand that, that um, this sort of possession, like, people feeling as though they have some sort of possessive behavior over me in my life, it really is just not something that I would ever want, or give my consent to. I understand that sometimes people are in positions of power, and I would say that position of power is quite impressive. But if you understand the needs of people, people who do not live in the same state of condition as you do, people have different needs, and maybe you are bound by duty where other people are more bound by, their pursuit of personal happiness, whereas they feel as though they have the right to, based on the standards of the law, basically what I'm saying. So, no, I would say that, coming to the realization of all of this has not made me happy at all. I do understand that I got some intuitive messages saying that people are talking more about how the employment system works and how human trafficking is starting to get people's attention, mainly because they do understand now that perhaps as they're starting to think back in their life and their situations, they may start seeing a pattern that's been going on in their life where, something might be going on in their life and somebody's trying to sabotage it and they end up losing their job, or, they're starting to understand, hey, I'm in this vicious cycle, and, they're starting to understand that work-life balance is an impossible thing under the conditions of human trafficking. Um, Human trafficking has wrecked a lot of my life. It ruined my outlook on life, my view on people. It destroyed my ability to ever feel safe. Um, and for some people, they're being trafficked and they don't even understand it. All they know is when they look back on their memories, they're thinking, okay, this happened, all these bad things happen, and yeah, the reason why it's happened is because somebody is controlling you. Probably somebody who consider themselves to be your enemy could be pulling the strings and making your life a living hell. And this is why I had talked about human trafficking before and the importance of it. I know that Kern County is a big participant in human trafficking, and what human trafficking is basically slavery. Human trafficking can create marriages that may not work. It could be, what I mean by incompatible marriages, where, like, for example, they're hell bent on maybe like matching you with somebody, and that you may not have liked from the very get go, and then you end up getting stuck in that relationship because they box you in, you can't leave, and the relationship could become abusive. Or what they could do is they could see a woman in her marriage as a married, she's in a married couple, but this particular group might think that she would be better off with someone else. So they can come in and they can destroy your marriage, and they can make it so that you can't get back on your feet. This is the kind of stuff that destroys the life of so many people. And I take human trafficking very seriously, because looking back on my career, I do see how many times I've been set up in situations where I'm being abused and did not have the proper support system. In fact, I was dealing with my surroundings were based on dealing with people who were mind controlled or taking instructions to follow along with this particular experiment or whatever that literally shattered my life. Human trafficking is a very serious issue. And I know some people might shrug their shoulders and say, well, that's just your opinion. It's not your opinion, my opinion. It's the consequences of their actions is felt by a 53-year-old woman who did not get a chance to fully say that she enjoyed any of her life because of this. And it plays a huge role on, it leaves a heavy weight on my mind, mainly because every day I grow older. Every day I wonder, what's going to happen to me. Every day I do not have a lot of trust with the people that I've had to deal with, mainly because of me making videos for a duration of since 2015, making 1,300 videos, and it's like, I was dealing with very hard-headed people until that would leave me in a feeling of having of a state of feeling extremely abused and almost like violated. I feel violated is how I feel. I understand when people are in certain positions of power, they feel as though they supersede the law. And I guess people will turn a blind eye if somebody in a position of power comes along and says, hey, do the contrary, even though there's always laws to establish that. But like I said, anytime you break a law, laws are here to prevent us from dealing with some sort of financial catastrophe. Not just financial, it could be your reputation, it could be anything to protect your well-being. And by deviating from these things, these guidelines, what ends up happening is I end up suffering. I suffer. You know what I mean? And everybody wants to make sure that, hey, I don't want to be implicating this. I don't want anyone to bring out my name, but I'm the one who always suffers. You know what I mean? And I get tired of it. I'm not the kind of person who strives for, what do you call it, mainstream lifestyle. And I think a lot of people wanted to shove that down on me. They wanted me to be more, I don't know, maybe more like them. And that's fine for you if that's how you choose to live your life. I never would have accepted that lifestyle. And the reason why, because I remember reading, articles in like magazines about people who had married within that family. And I would think, well, they married into that family. They made a conscious decision to do that. That's their choice. They made a choice. And, unfortunately, when you make those choices, you have to live with those sort of consequences, right? What, good or bad, because that was your choice. And I always thought to myself, I'm so glad that I didn't ever put myself in that situation. Whereas I had people in this particular group who felt as though they had, some sort of possessive, feely control over me. And it just literally, I'm going to tell you, the feeling was not positive. You know what I mean? No matter what a person's status or their wealth is, I'm not impressed with what people, any titles. I'm just not impressed with any of that. I look at the entire person and, I'm just really picky because, like I said, after dealing with people abusing me my entire life, having a fake family, dealing with a system that was cooperating with a sick experiment that was Joseph Mengelé's, like, what do you call it, bright idea, and, how orchestrated and how mind controlled people were, and I understand mind control. And I think what people don't understand, they don't understand me. A lot of it has to do with that. And, since I was a little kid, I remember hearing stories of adults, not just like, sometimes it would be firsthand, like, stories that people would tell me, like, oh, when I was younger with this, I used to observe people a lot. I would watch people. I hear all their problems. And I used to think, how is it in the world? I want to know how I can avoid living like the majority of people. I want to avoid what they have. I want to avoid living like the way that they think, and they're with the things that they turn to instinctively. You know what I mean? Like, I understand a lot of women who got my situation probably would have ended up getting married to just some guy and putting themselves in another abusive situation. Okay, but I always did the best I could to toe my own weight. I never asked anyone for anything. I do everything I can to not have to deal with any sort of abusive situation. I grew up in a program based on an experiment. I was adopted into a family based on experiment. Everything that I did was monitored by these particular people, and you know what? I want to say that there is nothing about that, the presence of those people, that makes me happy. None of it. Okay, I think it's very sick, it's very twisted, and I'm not happy about it at all. And I understand, like, when you're dealing with that sort of infiltration, they brainwash the people that are around you, with hopefully to try to convince you into a lifestyle that I absolutely reject 100%, which I have the right to. Okay, I reject it. Meaning, I take my explorative approach in life very seriously, and that is a part of my videos. And it's not just talking about spiritual things, but also I am somebody who was basically put in a situation that was sick to begin with. It's only natural that I want to move as far away from that as I possibly can. It is not something that I am happy to be identified with. And if you can't understand that, I don't know what else to tell you. I would just prefer to focus on my spiritual things, and I do hope that, these people will adhere to my guidelines and my timelines, and, because I understand the person that I'm dealing with, Pyramid Boy. I'm just saying that because it's like, okay, well, you can't come out and say stuff. But, it's easy to brush off somebody who you look at as less than you. And maybe I'm less than you in the fact that I don't have, a palace, and I don't have somebody, escorting me around or anything like that. And that's all very well and good. But you know what? I understand, if I was a leader, if I had that sort of title, I would want to make sure that I left a good impression on the minds of people that I'm supposed to, present myself to. I would take my leadership seriously, and I would be just, and I would be fair. That's important, because there's ways that you can be immortalized, not just in history books, but also in the minds of other people. You know what I mean? And it's important that when it's time for your time to go, you want to be remembered as somebody who is fair, somebody who is wise, somebody who is just. Those things matter, and they do matter. They matter to the people, and they also matter somewhere that we can't see. So anyway, what else did I want to say? I'm glad that people are starting to understand how human trafficking works. It doesn't always have the same face. It doesn't always have the same look to it. There's a lot of people who come in and take control over people's lives. It could be a parent, it could be a ex-spouse, it could be a current spouse, it could be a sibling, it could be whatever. But I mean, when it's funny because I kept making these videos over and over and again, like, I don't want anything to do with this, I don't want anything to do with this, I don't want anything to do with this person. The whole trauma thing was just like too much. But anyway, I don't need to keep talking about it. But I go on with these rants because there's times where the trauma comes up, and I don't have any other focus other than to sit and think about everything that's happened. Because like I said, I need movement more than anything in this world. Like, I need to get out of the situation. Meaning, I want to, when I deal with people online, whether that be the representatives over at Patreon, or I'm setting up another social media account or whatever, I don't want that reminder, oh, I can't post this video, I can't do this because sludge, because someone like attached themselves to you. The very person who robbed you of your fucking childhood, the very person who destroyed your life in high school, it's too much. It's too much. It's entirely too much. You know what I mean? I've never went into detail about what went on in my personal life. Not in person, really, to anybody. My issues, my human trafficking nightmare stories, my story of being a clone, my story of discovering who I am, my nightmares, okay, are something that I reserve exclusively for YouTube, okay? I don't talk about, like, for example, my Patreon channel, I don't talk about, that's not the channel to get any information on me coming to find out issues about reincarnation or anything, that would be YouTube, okay? My Patreon video is I give people what they pay for. They pay for lessons, they pay for history, they pay for those sort of things. They're not paying for rants about, all the injustices that I had to deal with. You can listen to that for free here on YouTube. But really, I don't want to make any more. My issue is like, I'm after dealing with the trauma for so many times, and like I said, I have the right not to believe these people or trust these people, or I'm being as cordial as I can, but you need to understand, after dealing with this issue for over since 2015, you know what I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't like the way you guys do things, and I would never accept that into my life, you know what I mean, and maybe that way of life is good for you, because that's something that moves your line forward, meaning that it's just something that you're familiar with based on your background or whatever. But anything that's like that for me, like I can't deal with. I don't like those sort of restrictions. You know what I mean? I'm a very open-minded person. Freedom is what motivates me. When I was younger, the thing is, they should have told me when I was younger, hey, you're a part of this program. And you got to have these people who are attached to you, you know what I mean? And they have these expectations of you. No one ever told me. As far as I knew, my mother said, hey, by the time you're 18 years old, you can do what you want to do. And I knew that's what the law said, so that's what I was doing. You know what I mean? And to come to some sort of surprise where I had these people who were like hanging around me, expecting me to like bend over backwards and like, stuff my tongue up their ass. I had no fucking idea. None whatsoever. Especially since this is the United States and they're in another country. That's just too much for me, really. It is. It's too much. I don't want to have any like ongoing animosity with these people. I'm just asking, hey, cooperate. Like, how much more can you take from a person? How much more can you fucking destroy a person's life? You know what I mean? You've done a great job of destroying my life. I'm 53 years old. You know what I mean? And I can't pay my credit cards, which I should have. And I have worked so hard to keep my credit good. I worked so hard to keep my credit good. I was so happy, like last year, I was like really like, oh, I got, but I never felt completely satisfied, even though I had good credit, because like I said, I never had we call it work-life balance. If you don't like your job, it doesn't matter how much you're getting paid. It really doesn't. Really doesn't. And you can have a lot of money, but what good is it if you feel like every time you're at home, I did a lot of work on the weekends. And then also, I was never happy about going to work. I mean, the issue of human trafficking and the what do you call it? The employment game. It's bad. A long time ago, I remember there was like strict rules and guidelines about people phishing. Placing fake job ads on, things like Indeed.com, or back then it used to be like the newspaper or whatever. There was a lot of warning about people who were posting fake jobs, and they were actually trying to crack down on that, And now it's like I've dealt with people like when Steve Murray was like talking to me. He was like basically telling me I was saying that I had passed. Why was he acting like all stupid because I passed the test and I was at his place? And he was like, no, that's not how employment works. He believes that employment works the way that it's so normal to people to accept this form of employment because they see that important people do, and they shift and they maneuver things. And, yeah, they do. Okay, but everything that's written in the law says something opposite. And the only thing is that I have always adhered to those laws. I always stuck with those. And I understand, because people are like, well, so what the law says? I'm this particular person. I'm so-and-so and so-and-so, whatever. It affected me. It affected me. The trauma of knowing that those boundaries were crossed disturbs the fuck out of me. Like, I'm not comfortable with that. You know what I mean? And I don't really care what other people think of me because I'm trying to live for myself. And, I'm not the kind of person who wants to do everything in a group or seek the group's approval. I, based on my own study of people, which I've done that all my life. The reason why I make different choices, the reason why people find me so outstanding is because, or somebody thinks I make bold moves. The reason why I do is because those are the exact things that need to be done in order to avoid what a lot of other people ran themselves into. It's just, that's just the way it is, and it seems like horrible, but this is how we have to live in hell. I mean, I can't live like how these people were. What these people were doing to me was basically forcing me into suicide. I mean, it was horrible. I hated living. I hated life. I hated everything about it. I hated the fact that I had to deal with this work issue. I hated the fact that I felt like everyone around me was brainwashed. Everything that they said was fake. Um, Maybe some people like living in that sort of environment, but here's the thing. I understand you may have a title, but don't you dare put that shit in my house. Do not fucking even try to have like people coming on spying on me, trying to that kind of corruption. It's too much. It's too much. Okay, I mean, I don't deserve that sort of shit. Oh, well, mind you, there's really not anything that I do in my house that people don't know that I do. I really much just sit here and do work on my little projects and whatever. Everybody already knows that every once in a while I indulge in weed or whatever, but yeah, I don't see myself, um, I don't see myself happy in that trafficking situation. I hated that trafficking situation. It was abusive. I don't care what you thought, or maybe because you felt as though I needed something. Don't ever tell me how to live my life. Don't tell me it's time to sit here and think about marriage, or you need to divorce this person, or don't ever fucking tell me how to live my life. Maybe it's your tradition to where like, okay, well, this person's this age, maybe they need to start thinking about that. That is not a one size fits all solution for everybody. Okay? I don't like what you did. I have the right to be fearful about people getting close to me. Okay? I don't want to sit here and walk right into a situation where I'm just smack dab in the middle of this nightmare. You know what I mean? It's totally leery. I've totally every right to feel leery about who I come in contact with, because what you guys do is you cause nothing but trauma. Nothing but trauma. And it's because you guys don't understand people, and that's the problem. You don't understand people, okay? Now, I apparently do have royal blood, and I'm obviously not the same as you, but I would say when it comes down to it, uh, from the compared to the material assets and stuff like that, I would say that I basically live as a commoner, meaning like, I had to there was a time where I used to go to work and everything like that, but it's important for leaders to understand the common needs of what a commoner needs in order for them to be a good ruler. It is. I mean, people need to make sure that there's a certain level of contentment that people must have in order to present this sort of chaos, this sort of discontentment that rises in people, and that's what a leader does. They understand that sort of thing. But anyway, I had to come on and make this rant because, what, I need to move on with my life. I do. I'm tired of like the remembrance of it. You know what I mean? I don't want a slight reminder of it. And don't think, hey, that's okay. Maria's strong. She can put up with it. No, I cannot fucking put up with it. I cannot put up with it. I never consented to put up with it. And I understand because in their minds, well, I have this title. I'm this. And in the grand scheme of things, you don't have one. So, but technically, under the guidelines of the law, then that makes you a fucking criminal. Corrupt. Scandalous is what it is. You know what I mean? That's basically what I'm trying to come up and say. Because, like, I'm not the kind of person who wants to sit here and be like, a part of an experiment. I don't want to sit here and like have people tell me that because I've been trying to run away from their abuse all this time, but now it's time for me to start thinking about getting married, and they want me to marry somebody who I'm going to get abused from, or something along those lines. I mean, I don't want your little nitty picky friends. Okay, I'm just letting you know. You know, the only thing that I can expect from people like you guys is abuse. That's pretty much the way it is. And because you guys are completely different than me, and you don't respect my space. You know, I don't. Well, I keep thinking about my life. I don't want to wait another day for my life to start. I can't take it anymore. I just want my life back. I want my, what do you call it? I want my ability to dream again, to care about life, you know, and really I think that has been something that's been owed to me for a very long time, without a doubt, without a fucking doubt. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap up this video, and I will be back with another. And I'm sorry I didn't mean to make this a rant video. It's just that, you know, it's like I sometimes, you know, I try to be cordial, but the fact is that, you know, I'm not comfortable with the stagnation. I'm not comfortable with um, waiting around. I'm not comfortable with me having to explain myself over and over again. I'm not comfortable with me not being able to get direct answers and find out what was going on. Although I do understand, but the thing is like, you know, I'm angry because, like I said, I made it very clear in October I wanted nothing to do with this. You know what I mean? And it's like these people are so feely happy, and so like and now look, if my credit, I look at my credit. Look what you guys have done. Look what you have fucking done. How many times, every time I feel like these people do nothing but screw my shit over, and they feel like, oh, we can just take our sweet time to fucking fix it. What about people who demonstrate their goodwill? If they try their hardest to avoid the situation. I did what I could to not get in this slump in the first place. And then you got these people who just sit there and like they move like fucking snails. You know what I mean? If I did this to a person, I would feel nothing but ashamed. I would be ashamed. Like, I would be so sorry that I did this to another person, but I would have never done it to anyone in the first place. So anyway, we'll wrap up this video. I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Bye.